Well, good afternoon, everybody in the room here at Southbank in Brisbane, and good afternoon, everybody online. Thanks for joining us today for our Language Teachers Forum, a joint initiative between Griffith University and the MLTAQ. And we're very lucky to have Catherine Tominaga as our speaker today. Catherine usually helps us out with the Language Teachers Forum, but she's doing that and being the presenter today, taking language beyond the classroom. She's got a lot of background. A lot of you will know that she was the president of the state MLTAQ for a number of years, fairly recently, and a primary language teacher, Japanese teacher with CathEd. So we're looking forward to it. Catherine, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, everyone. So I hope everyone can hear me, and please let me know if you can't. So just to introduce myself, thank you, Lee. As Lee said, I'm a primary school teacher of Japanese. I teach across 3 schools. I teach years 3 to 6 at one school and years 4 to 6 at the other 2. So I have 10 year levels. I don't know, almost 700 students. I haven't done a proper count, but it's not a competition. But you know, I do have quite a lot of people that I look after. And over the years, I've engaged with my broader school community in varying degrees, gone in waves. You know, I have moments of enthusiasm and trying to do a lot of different things, and then the energy perhaps wanes a little bit. But today I'd like to discuss some of my more recent endeavours in this regard, and you know, it might give some people some ideas. I also hope that you might be able to share some of your experiences with me, always on the lookout for fresh ways to engage the community and build the profile of languages in the school. So let me see if I can work this PowerPoint. Yay. So how my current little wave began was back in 2020, in that week before the Easter break, when we all had a week of planning and preparation time before we went into the Easter holidays, and then to be followed by a 5-week lockdown at the beginning of term 2. And teachers had a week to prepare resources, etc., for their classes. And at one of my schools, it was the year 1 teachers who started the ball rolling, and they made a little video to their students and saying, oh, you know, we're getting everything ready for you for after the holidays, and hope you're all well, and lovely little friendly video. It was posted on the school Facebook page. And so everyone thought this was just so beautifully done, just a simple little thing. So then the prep teachers got on board and they did one for their students. And so then it was, oh, let's all make one. This is a lovely idea. So each year level, the teachers made their own little video. And next thing, the music teachers collaborated with one of the other teachers and written a song for the students. And he's there on his guitar and they're performing this lovely song video. I thought, got to do something. What am I going to do? Got to do something. Japanese has to be represented in this PR extravaganza that it had turned into. And so it was, as I said, Easter coming up, and so I made a little origami video for an Easter bunny. Let me see. Here we go. And so I made a little video, and just with some origami instructions, I thought, oh well, this might give parents who are at home going, oh, what am I going to do with my children? Something to do for 10 minutes, might take up 10 minutes of their time. And this was posted on, as I said, on Facebook, and it was very nicely, very warmly received by the community. So I'll just, I'll see if I can play that for you a little bit. Okay, so there you go. You get the idea. And that was, as I said, shared on Facebook, so lovely. Then, here we go. So then we went into the holidays, came back, and during the lockdown period, I wasn't really required to do live lessons or anything like that with my students, but I was just very conscious of the fact that they were going to have, you know, potentially like 2 months. And by the time you had the week before Easter, the Easter holidays, 5 weeks after that, it was basically going to be 2 months that the children weren't going to be hearing any Japanese whatsoever. So I was looking for ways to engage the students so that they might hear a little bit of Japanese. So I ended up doing a different origami video each week. Mother's Day fell during that period, so there was one that was for Mother's Day. And they were shared on the Facebook page of that original school that had first started the ball rolling. And with the other schools, I just sent it to my students via Teams, and then I sent it out to all of the staff so that if they were supervising children at school, that might give them something to break up their day and to do with the students as well. So I shared it with them that way. And, you know, basically that's how that all went for a little while, just for that time during lockdown. And I'm not going to bore you with that video again, but you know, this was the sort of thing that, this is where it all kind of got started. And once school started back, I'm not going to show you that, you know, things went back to normal-ish for a little while. But then at the beginning of 2021, I thought, yes, I want to do something. I want to be a little bit more strategic, a little bit more planned in what I'm doing. And so from that little original idea in 2020 of the origami videos, I decided in 2021 to make a concerted effort for the whole year to do an origami of the week and a word of the week. And I made them both into videos. And these were shared in our school newsletter. Our school newsletter is digital. I'm able to embed videos into those. So I would embed the origami of the week and the word of the week each week. I emailed all of the teachers at the beginning of the school year, and I said, would anyone like to display the origami of the week and the word of the week in the classroom? And this is an example of one of the words of the week. But and so some of them took me up on that offer. I was trying to make sure that each video was really short. I think, you know, attention spans are always, shorter is definitely better. So this is an example of the word of the week video, and you'll see it's quite short. So that's sort of the length of the videos that I used to do for Word of the Week. And as I said, I asked teachers if they wanted to display it in their classrooms. I had a display like this in my classroom. I also had the previous weeks. I had this week's Word of the Week and last week's Word of the Week, because I figured that you needed, you know, at least 2 weeks of seeing them around. And I pre-prepared a whole term's worth at once. I would do it over the holidays. I was really conscious of not being too much of a perfectionist with my videos, which I think is pretty obvious, but I didn't want it to become something too onerous for me. And so I tried as much as possible to do it in one take. Even my origami videos, I tried to just, you know, get myself ready, but be able to do it in one go. And so yes, in the holidays I could make 10 weeks worth, a term's worth, you know, in one day, half a day, whatever it took. I would print out the words. I initially was doing this, I recorded audio and linked that up to a QR code so that if it was being displayed in other teachers' classrooms, they could scan that to hear the pronunciation. The origami, here I've just done a picture, but I was actually physically making the origami so that they could be stuck onto the poster. And each week, I had initially said at the beginning of the year, I'll do it for the first few weeks, but perhaps after that you can get a student to do it. And I quickly realised that would never happen, so I just kept making them for the whole year. But, you know, I do like origami. And so I had different levels of engagement at each school. It's very interesting having 3 schools. I really like, you know, just noticing differences in the way things are embraced or whatever. At one school I had about 10 classes that were displaying it for me. At the other 2 I probably had about 6. So you put all of that together, including my own classrooms in each school, and each week I was making 20-something, 25, I don't know, origami. But they were all simple. I was always aiming for really simple origami that even the younger children could have a go at. So that was another key thing. Anyway, so it really did. People did. Certain teachers, at the beginning of each week, I would send an email out saying this week's word of the week and the origami of the week is this, and sending the links through to everyone. And sometimes I would tie it in with what a class was doing. I had one Year 2 class that were doing a pirate theme at one point, and so I did a bird to be the parrot on the pirate's shoulder, and a boat. I did some origami that tied in with what they were doing. I tied them in with at State of Origin time we did the shirt origami so that children could colour them in their team colours and different things like that. And some teachers, as I say, did show the origami of the week to their classes, and they did it together as a class. And so it really, because I only teach the upper school at each of my schools, it raised my profile within the school community, certainly, within the actual, the school, and a little bit beyond with the broader community. But it was really funny, a little funny anecdote that I do love to tell. I had a Year 2 class, and I didn't teach them, but I needed to pass a message on to the classroom teacher, and I'd called by the classroom hoping to see her, and she wasn't there at the time, so I just said, I'll come back. And later that day when I had another break and I went to see her, she said, yes, the children said, they said to me, the lady from the TV is here. And that was me, because they were used to seeing me doing these origami videos. So it's raised my profile in the school. I'm the lady from the TV, so that's pretty funny. But anyway, Year 2s, they're so cute. So, that was my origami. And as I said, I shared them with all of the teachers on Mondays. Students that I didn't teach came to know me. I then had this bank of origami videos. So at the end of term 1, by the end of term 1, I had 10 different origami videos, and I put them together and was sharing them with my classes. And I've always, I do love origami, but we don't do it in class that frequently. But there are some children who love to do it. And it can be, as all teachers of Japanese know, teaching origami can be a really stressful experience. And it takes a long time when you're doing one origami with the whole class, and stopping and making sure everyone's up at the same stage, and the children who already know how to make it are racing ahead, and all of those different things. And so what I discovered that I could do was that I could, because the children already had this bank of that term's origami all in one place, I could just have a few children in the class bring their device and sit with a group, and in their little groups of 4 or 5 children they could choose which origami they wanted to make. And so they had a little bit of autonomy because they got to choose what they wanted to make, and they would all make whichever one suited them, and I could just go around and troubleshoot, do a little bit of helping along the way if needed. In one lesson, different groups could make 2 or 3 different origami, whereas when we try to do one as a class, the whole lesson would be taken up with just one. So that made my origami teaching experience in the classroom so much easier, which was wonderful. And those origami videos, I can reuse them again and again. So even this year, I've occasionally popped one of those back into the newsletter or used them for something. And also they're great for a relief lesson if I ever needed something for classes to do when I'm not there. So they've had lots of uses. So that was 2021. That was last year. And I thought, I don't think I want to just do the same thing again. I need to keep things fresh, both for my students and my school communities and for myself. So this year was a little bit of trial and error, and trying to work out what is the best way to go. So, anybody who knows me knows what a huge advocate I am of the Motivated Classroom podcast. And Dr. Liam Printer, who hosts that podcast, an episode, I'm trying to think what number episode it is, 56 maybe, which is, because I've recommended it to people so many times, on the topic of homework. It's somewhere in the 50s. And with his students, he does not call homework homework, he calls it contact with the language. And that really speaks to me, and it speaks to my original reason for starting up those origami videos, was because during the lockdown I was wanting my students to have some contact with the language, and I was worried that they weren't going to hear any Japanese for a long period of time. So what Dr. Printer is talking about is how any contact that our students can have with the language outside of the classroom is going to be a bonus for us. The more frequently our students can interact with Japanese, obvious, or whatever language we're teaching, the better. So that is what I am trying to do, and I was trying to think of something that I could put in the newsletter and then also share with my students via our school platform, that would engage them, they would want to listen to. This is the key thing, really. What is it like? Origami. The children who love origami would definitely look at those. They were waiting. On the weekends, I would often share the origami video on the weekend as we were going into the week, and sometimes they would message me, "Where's the origami video for this week?" So that's great for those children. But just always looking for something that's going to grab the attention of as many students as possible. And then I was also inspired a little bit by the Dreaming Spanish videos, and if there are any Spanish teachers online, or even if you're not a Spanish teacher, I highly recommend having a look at these there's a Dreaming Spanish website and a YouTube channel, and there's a whole lot of videos, and especially the beginner ones are very short, just telling little stories or talking about different things in very comprehensible language, and they're very engaging, and it's just a way to hear more of the language. How are we going for time? Shall I play a little bit of this one? I'll just play a little bit and we can see what it's like.
Hoy,
Today.
Carlitos va a la escuela y no va a tener ningún problema. Pues Carlitos y su madre, ¿no? Su mamá. Carlitos y su madre, su mamá, van a la escuela. Van andando a la escuela. Van cada día van andando a la escuela.
Okay, I won't play the whole thing, but they're wonderful videos, very engaging, nice and short, and telling a story sometimes, or just talking about something of interest. And I've got lots of ideas for things that I can talk to my students about, and how to make that content comprehensible for my students. So, with a little bit of inspiration from those Dreaming Spanish videos, I made some short videos and put these in my school newsletter. And I think the difference, obviously, with a language like Japanese is that we don't have as many words as Spanish does that sound, the cognates that sound like English, that make that comprehension that much easier. So we have to make it even simpler. My students are very young, etc. So I had to make them quite simple, but this will give you a little bit of an idea of the type of thing that I did for my students.
皆さんこんにちは。私は富永です。皆さん誰ですか？
This was part of a series, so they already knew who this was.
トムですね。トムは何ですか？ What is Tom? トムは虎です。皆さん、トムは大きい big 大きい虎です。おー、皆さん、トムは大きい big 虎ですか？はい、トムは大きい虎です。皆さん。虎です。皆さん。トムですか？いいえ、トムじゃないです。トムは大きいビッグ虎です。大きい虎ですか？いいえ、大きいビッグ大きい虎じゃないです。小さい虎です。小さい虎です。It's a small tora.
Okay, you get the idea. Okay, sorry. All right, so I did a few, in term one I did a few of those, but let's face it, not that exciting. And, you know, they were okay, but I don't know that they really had the engagement level that I would like. So I continued to search far and wide for inspiration, and I came across, again, because I've been dabbling in a little bit of Spanish myself, so that's why you're getting all these Spanish influences here, but there's a teacher of Spanish in the United States called Jeff Brown, and he teaches adult classes. He possibly teaches school level classes as well, I'm not sure, but somebody that I know was a student in one of his adult classes, and he creates a podcast and recaps what they've spoken about in class that day, or does makes little audio snippets for his students to listen to for extra listening practice outside of class. And he has the most wonderful expression, and he's so engaging. He's such a wonderful speaker. And so I find these really fascinating to listen to myself. And I thought, wow, it would be so good to be able to do something like that. So this is, I think this is going to let us, oh no, it's not. Okay, forget that. Oops. So, okay, so I can't play that for you. But I feel like there's a link here somewhere. But anyway, no, it's not going to let me. Anyway, and so he's got this one. This particular episode is where he is, oh, maybe now it's going to let me. Anyway, he's introducing the students in the class, and he's gathered a little bit of information about those students, and he's just giving this recap of, oh, and you know, John works as a mechanic, he works on cars, and he gives all of this lovely description. And again, because Spanish has so many cognates, and it's, even if you just pick up a few of the words, or he's very good also at explaining, oh, and such means swimming in English, or whatever it might be. And again, even that is easy to explain in Spanish. But so I was listening to this and thinking, wow, it would be so good to be able to do something like that in Japanese. But again, I knew that Japanese, you need, and my young students wouldn't just be able to manage it with just the audio, so we needed some visual support. And so from there, this is when in the Easter holidays, I had, this year, I had this idea. So instead of just describing people in the class, I was initially thinking I could do something about the students in the class, and I was thinking I could do like a mystery student type of thing, and I would describe one of the students in the class and students would have to guess. But then I thought about all of those. This is why I told you at the beginning that I have 10 different year levels. If I was to do that, I'd have to do it per year level, because students in the school wouldn't know enough about children in other year levels to be able to guess who somebody was. So I figured that wasn't going to be manageable, and so I decided to do a mystery sensei, a mystery teacher. And so over the Easter holidays, I sent out a survey to all my staff, not just the teachers, but all of the staff at each of my schools, and asked them to reply, to answer as many of the questions as they could or wanted to. And based on that information, I made these mystery teacher, mystery sensei videos, and with lots of visual support to help my students. So I'll show you what they look like.
皆さんこんにちは。今週のミステリー先生は誰ですか？ 今週のミステリー先生は中国語を少し話します。すごいですね。中国語を話します。今週のミステリー先生はイングランドとフランスに行きました。ニュージーランドに行きました。そしてアメリカに行きました。面白いですね。ミステリー先生はブリスベンで生まれました。今週のミステリー先生はペットがいます。ペットは犬じゃないです。ペットは猫です。先週 last week 先週のミステリー先生も猫がいましたね。今週のミステリー先生も猫がいます。ミステリー先生は猫派です。今週のミステリー先生は兄弟がいません。お姉さんがいません。お兄さんがいません。妹と弟がいません。先生は兄弟がいません。でもミステリー先生は息子と娘がいます。ミステリー先生は iPhone 派です。iPhone があります。ミステリー先生はアウトドア派です。アウトドアが好きです。ミステリー先生の、好きな色は小豆色です。マルーンが好きです。ミステリー先生は高いところが怖いです。皆さんは高いところが怖いですか？ミステリー先生はチョコレートが好きです。私もチョコレートが好きです。そしてミステリー先生は KFC が好きです。そしてミステリー先生は寝ることが好きです。面白いですね。面白い先生ですね。チョコレートと KFC と寝ることが好きです。ミステリー先生は誰ですか？ミステリー先生はスポーツが好きです。スポーツが大好きです。全部のスポーツが好きです。テレビでスポーツを見ます。全部見ます。スポーツが大好きです。そしてミステリー先生はクリケットをします。そしてゴルフをします。ミステリー先生は誰ですか？ミステリー先生のおすすめの本はシャーロット・ウェブです。私もシャーロット・ウェブが好きです。いいですね。皆さん、今週のミステリー先生は担任の先生です。校長先生じゃないです。音楽と体育と図工と日本語の先生じゃないです。ミステリー先生は担任の先生です。女の先生ですか？男の先生ですか？わかりません。ミステリー先生は担任の先生です。皆さん、今週のミステリー
Oops, okay. So you get the idea. Excuse me. So, was probably boring to watch the whole lot of that. But I wanted to show you that I was really, I really geared my questions around things that I wanted to promote within the school community, like getting a recommended book. I wanted to make sure I was promoting reading and asking what languages they spoke. So my question in the survey to the teachers was, do you speak any other languages, even if it's just a few words? I didn't mind. And I just wanted to be able to say, oh, they speak this language, they speak that language. So it was great because, I mean, we do have people in the school community who can speak some languages, and that was really, it was really interesting for the students. They were surprised to hear that, and I just think it was a nice promotion of languages. So I was very strategic in the way I put that together. You know, probably if I put more thought into it, I could have done better, but it was fine. It got the job done, and they were extremely popular, and I was surprised. The school communities embraced it in ways that I hadn't even anticipated. And what was really interesting was, especially at one school in particular, and I think sometimes it's to do with the timing of when they had lessons with me. The very first time that I did it, even though this was something that was posted in the school newsletter, I did show it at the beginning of my lesson because I wanted to make students aware that it was something that they could watch. And so we went through it as a class, and you know, and I could check that they were all understanding and that I was making myself clear, etc. And then they would go out for lunch, and whatever teachers were on duty, they were going up, oh, so do you have a cat? And do you speak Chinese? And they were asking, it sparked all of these conversations, and I hadn't expected it. In the very first couple of weeks, the teacher was going, why are the children asking if I've got chickens? You know, or whatever it might have been. So it was hilarious, but, excuse me, it really started some wonderful conversations in the school. It helped me to get to know my staff a little bit better because flitting between the three schools, I, you know, don't know that much about my staff sometimes, and so that was really nice to get to know them a little bit better myself. And so I provided an opportunity for students to guess who it might be, and they had a little online form that they could fill in, excuse me, about who they thought it might be. And, excuse me. And so when they, stop playing. Sorry, I'll stop that. So when they entered on the weekend, I would then put all of those names into this spinner wheel. So I'm about to show you the website that I used for that, but it's just a free website, and I would just enter all of the names. And, oh, why can't I? Let me go back. Sorry. I just wanted to be able to pause it. I should be able to pause it here. No, it's not letting me. Okay. I need to do it here, don't I? Here we go. That's better. So, excuse me. So just to explain this, you can see all of these different names here. Each of these wheels is exactly the same, but that is the number of children who entered the competition for whatever week this was, week 6. And I just made one wheel, and then I duplicated it. I made 5 because I wanted to, I just kind of ended up with this system where, depending on how many students entered, I would offer a little prize, a very small little prize it was, but for 1 in every 6 correct entries. So that's why I have, rather than draw it multiple times, by doing it this way, I was able to just do one spin and get 5 different winners or something at a time. So I think this week I was going for 10 winners, so I spun it twice. But that's why you're seeing all of those wheels. But still, it was a lot of people who had entered the correct entry showing up on that one wheel there. And so, and this spinning wheel app is something that I've used for a lot of other activities in class as well, like just for doing a spinning with, you know, a spin with colours and things like that. And is it going to let me? Oh, no, it's not going to. I'm not going to do that. Sorry, it's just, I'm only sharing my PowerPoint, so it's not taking you to the thing, so I won't worry about that. But it's called spinnerwheel.com, I think, and very easy to use. You can save what you've done, so I use it a lot in class for other things as well. So you might like to try that out. So yeah, I think making it a little competition made it a bit of fun as well. So that was term 2, and it was really popular, but the children were asking, oh, couldn't we do a mystery student? And as I said to you, that had been my original idea at the very beginning, but I knew what a huge job it was going to be. But I decided to give it a go. And so I asked the students who they, what sort of questions. I said, I've got questions to ask adults. I know, do you have an iPhone or an Android? And all of those questions that I'd put to the teachers. But I said, that's not going to be interesting for you. So what sort of questions should I ask? I asked all of my classes, made a big list and put together a form that had something like 45 questions. Sounds long, but I tried to make it multiple choice wherever possible. And said to my students, you can fill it in if you'd like me to make a mystery student video about you, and if you don't want to, that's fine, you don't have to fill it in. And you don't have to answer every question, just answer the ones that you're happy answering. And I said, and I'm not going to necessarily be able to make one of everyone, but this term I have been trying to do a mystery student video. I've done it for my year 5 and 6 at 2 schools and 4, 5 and 6 at 1 school. And, oh dear, what's going on? Oh, it's still all right up there. It's not working over here. What's going on? Sorry. Oh, there we go. I'm back. So, it's a little bit of work, but it has been very popular. And on the weekend, I might spend a little bit of time making these videos, but then I've been showing them in class at the beginning or some point in my class. Each video goes for about 5 minutes. And so that's 5 minutes of every lesson when the children are listening to some Japanese, and I get to have a little bit of quiet time, and I get to rest my voice for 5 minutes. And it feels a little bit like that quiet reading time that classroom teachers do with their classes that we never get to experience. So it's kind of a little bit of effort to put the video together, but I do get to reuse it with multiple classes, so it's not too bad. And so yeah, the student version. Also at the end of term 2, I did something a little bit sneaky. I wanted to show the students what a mystery student video might look like. So I made up a dummy mystery student video. It wasn't about any real person, but I didn't tell them that. And I just made up some random information about they have a younger brother, or they have a pet dog, because everyone has a pet dog, so that was pretty easy. And made up their favourite colour and all of this. And I set it as a listening task for my students, and they had to fill in as much information as they could that they'd learnt from the video. And I asked them to guess who they thought it might be. I thought it would be really interesting if I'd randomly happened to coincidentally nailed the personality of somebody in my class, but I didn't. But anyway, but it was fun. And the students were totally fooled. And the following week they're going, so who was it? Who was it? I went, oh, well, actually. So that's when I broke it to them that it wasn't real, because I hadn't surveyed it. How would I know this? Some of the classes are going, oh, what are you, a stalker? How do you know this information? Well, I don't. But anyway, so as I said, then we did the actual proper video. So that has been also very popular. And again, whilst it takes a little bit of preparation time, it's been a nice little thing to do in the lesson. And I've had students say, there was I can't remember what it was, but just the other week something came up, and it might have just been about Ototo and some siblings or something, but this student went, oh yeah, younger brother, and they knew it so quickly, and I went, oh my goodness, that's great that you knew that. Oh wow. He says, oh yeah, from the Mystery Sensei videos. Okay, excellent. What I'm aiming for is something that they listen to, and they're so engaged with the content that they're not noticing even that they're listening to it in Japanese. And I think that it has come to be that. I always mix up the order that I talk about things. I'm not talking about things in the same order each time. I try to add in, you might have heard in those videos, oh, me too, watashi mo, blah, 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 blah. Also, one of the mystery teacher videos at one school, I got the Year 6 students to do the recording for me. They'd heard enough of them and I thought, oh, everyone's probably sick of hearing my voice. So I got the students to help me, and I can't share it with you here because I don't have permissions, but it was so gorgeous. I had these two boys going, Misteri sensei wa ototo ga imasu. The mystery sensei has a younger brother. And watashi mo ototo ga imasu. And the other boy goes, watashi mo ototo ga imasu. Demo watashi tachi wa misteri sensei janai desu. And it was just, but we're not the mystery teacher. And it was so cute. But anyway, so that was nice. And ideally, that would be a goal, maybe next time we do it, that I could do more of those. But and that was easy and quick to prepare as well. So this term, I've been doing more like little mini quizzes. I took a lot of inspiration from the Dreaming Spanish videos for some ideas of things to do, and which do you think is taller, the Eiffel Tower or Tokyo Tower, and a few things like that. Pretty much borrowed holus bolus from Dreaming Spanish. Not really, because obviously I put a Japanese slant on it, but I did one about, actually I think I've got some examples here, but which I won't play, but different things like I compared Big Macs in Japan and Australia, the cost of them, the weight of them, the information I could get off the websites about the different things, and just trying to again get topics that might be of interest to my students. And again, with these little mini quiz videos, each one goes for about 5 minutes, and I've got them all collated together in one space. And when I had to have a day off school, I used that as my content for my lesson, because I put them in the school newsletter. They are available to the students to watch, but I know a lot of them haven't necessarily watched all of them, or possibly none of some students wouldn't have watched any of them. So I was able to just make that the content for the lesson. So again, even though I'm not there and the teacher who replaces me won't be able to do any Japanese, they still get to have some Japanese listening input for that lesson. So yeah, handy for relief days. So I'm not going to go through these, but these are some examples of ones that I've done, but I won't. This is the one about the hamburgers. Again, I'm not going to show you. You don't need to see that. This was a funny one, and this is something that I'm thinking I can perhaps try next year. I did a 2 truths and a lie, so that was and again, this was something that I could make into a competition, getting people to guess which one they thought was the correct thing. But I definitely think I'll be able to get some students to create the content for that next year. So they're the sorts of things that I've been doing. And now next term, going into term 4 this year, I'm planning on recycling my origami videos from last year. I think I've spent a lot of time this year in terms 1, 2 and 3 creating the content myself, but I thought, I'll just bring out the Christmas origami videos from last year. For term 4, it's time to have a little rest. But I'd be interested to know what other people have done to engage their school communities. Something that happened with these, especially those first ones that I did during the lockdown, perhaps parents were watching them together with their children a little bit more at that time, but I had parents coming up speaking to me in Japanese because they knew my face, which they potentially didn't know before, and they'd been watching them and engaging with them, and so there's just been a lot more Japanese language happening around the school, and I feel like more than previously, students see my face and it just reminds them, it just triggers that idea to speak Japanese, and so I just have to be walking through the school and I'll hear little snippets of Japanese popping up around the school, and children engaging with the language. And one other thing with the mystery.
You use the avatars.
Use the Bitmoji for my cover photo because I didn't want, if you just let YouTube pick a random part of the video, it's always when your face is going. So I needed something, so I just used the Bitmojis. They're fun. But sorry, I did want to share one other thing. This was just my happiest moment this year when I was doing the Mystery Sensei videos. And as I said, I wanted my students to be making contact with Japanese outside of the classroom. That was my goal. And the Mystery Sensei is what really, truly achieved that. And I had a parent say to me, oh, the boys were watching the video on my phone on the way to footy training. Boys watching my Japanese videos on their way to footy training. And then another child, they'd come to class and I was showing them the video in class, and I could tell from the way this child reacted that he'd already seen it. And I said, oh, you've already seen it. It had only come out that day. And he said, yeah, while we were waiting at the doctor's this morning. What? While you're waiting in the doctor's surgery, you're watching a Japanese video? You know, this was just, that was the pinnacle. I achieved all I ever wanted to achieve. I had children wanting to watch them, keen to, you know, I don't know, just, yeah, and they were watching some Japanese, so I was very happy. So, yeah, I'd be interested to know how others connect with your school community. Anyone online who'd like to share any thoughts? I don't know, how have we gone? Talked for a bit longer than I meant to, sorry. Okay. Oh no, maybe not. About good, yeah. I don't know. That's where I'm at, everyone. It's been a good experience for me. And one more. Have a look. Can you see it?
Yes.
So much fun.